Hey everyone, welcome to the Game Design Perspective. I am Mau,
I am Santi.
and we both are designers working in the video game industry. Now, as a quick disclaimer, please remember that this podcast, this video, does not represent the views of any of the studios we have worked on, are working, or will work, or will work in. But this is just our opinion, right? Our opinion based on our experiences, and yeah, that's pretty much
This is
it.
our opinion alone.
Yeah. So for today, I want to talk about something that I am super passionate about, and that's the Legend of Zelda. Right? This is my bread and butter. Like, I could live off playing Zelda. I do not need to eat. Right? Like, whenever I play Zelda, like I'm satisfied.
You're not. There's nothing you're more passionate about. I think.
No, there's absolutely nothing that I'm more passionate about. And with that, so the topic of this video is like pretty much, where can Zelda go after Tears of the Kingdom, and what can we expect, right?
Yeah, I think this video is a little bit the dangers of nostalgia, a little bit as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. The years of nostalgia, and well, Nintendo always loves to surprise us, right? Like, you never know what's gonna happen with them. You can expect something, and then they make something completely different to what you were expecting, right? But yeah, for this, I would like to say that I do believe there are three branches of what Zelda actually is right now, right? You have what is now the mainline Zelda games that are pretty much this open air Zelda formula, like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
You have the classic 3D Zelda games, like that started with Ocarina of Time.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the 2D Zelda games, right?
Yeah. And the 2D Zelda games, kind of like if you see Zelda 2 and then you see A Link to the Past, like they're completely different, right?
Yeah, they are completely different, but I mean, that's kind of like, people love to call Zelda 2 the black sheep of the franchise. They love to call it like that.
It's a weird game.
It's very
opinion.
weird. It's very weird.
Feels very planned as well. It feels like, you know, when you watch, like, it's a little bit like, for me, Zelda 2 is a little bit like the Marvel movie. You know how a Marvel movie is like very well structured, like
Yeah.
the act 1, act 2, act 3 come specifically at right times, like they're all perfectly like, and to me Zelda 2 feels a little bit like that. Feels like a perfectly structured game that, like, they plan it like that, right? And it doesn't feel very like emergent, as I say. Like, it's like, this is the system and this is the system and that's it. There's like very little expression in it, a little bit. That's how I feel when I played it. But I know it's a little bit of a divergent line, but I actually would like them to revisit something like that.
That's exactly one of the topics I had planned for today, right? Like,
oh, nice.
No, seriously. Like, I like what I have planned there. Like, it's pretty much the last topic I was going to talk about, but bring it on. So there was, I don't know if you saw this, but I don't know exactly how long that was, but Inti Create, the studio that is making now the Gunvolt series and made Mega Man CX, this is a studio that's pretty much I think a lot of Capcom people actually went there, and they are so good at making these Mega Man games and Mega Man like games. They expressed like a lot of interest in remaking Zelda 2, right? And to that I said, like, I would give them the shot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I don't know if you remember, but there was one of the best reviewed cartoon games, like licensed games ever, is like this Adventure Time game called Hey Ice King,
Why you steal our garbage?
why you steal our garbage, right?
Yeah.
And it's literally Zelda too.
Yeah, which proves there's something there. Which proves
Absolutely.
there's an audience for that. What I would do is give them the shot and rebrand the game. I would not release it as Zelda 2. I would rebrand it as The Legend of Zelda: The Adventure of Link. Right?
Mhm.
I would get rid of this Zelda 2 name, because for people it's like, oh, that's the weird one.
Yeah.
That's the weird one. It even has like this weird name, right? It's not even called The Legend of Zelda, but it counts, like Nintendo counts it as a mainline Zelda, but it doesn't even have the name. But it is. But it is.
I think it's something similar to how Nintendo I think they would have to do something similar to how they handled the Metroid remake, that they originally, like the Metroid Zero Mission, right?
Yeah.
And it's a remake of the original Metroid. And I think they would have to handle it that way.
Yeah.
I would love to see that, to be honest.
I would love it.
Really like, because it has like a very smart 2D combat, depending on height. That is dependent on height, where you guard up, down, like how to, like it has a very, very smart melee combat, especially for like a 2D game, right? With better animations and feedback, it could be like revolutionary nowadays.
Dude, and who's that good at making that kind of games?
Oh yeah, no. There is no argument. There is definitely no argument who should be doing it. The moment a team that has potential asks for it, they already have the passion, and they should totally do it. You know, you see some of the best games ever. Literally, like I know I talk about it like a parrot, but Baldur's Gate 3, they asked, like there was like this team, they asked to do Baldur's Gate 3. It's not the opposite. It's not that Wizards of the Coast reached to them to make Baldur's Gate 3. It was Larian Studios who went to Wizards of the Coast and said, we want to make Baldur's Gate 3.
Exactly.
So you get that passion and talented team, and it would be a waste not to do it, you know. But if Nintendo knew about that, to be honest, Mau, let's be honest here. If Nintendo knew about that and respected that, they would be hiring the little fan-made games teams like Sega did for Sonic. They would be hiring them to make these kind of games. It's like, hey, instead of just cease and desist, it's like, hey, cease and desist and hire. You know, it's like,
which is something that it's very interesting, but Nintendo is like protects its IP so much.
But it doesn't sell them enough.
No. It's weird, because something I was gonna say is that they definitely could outsource a Zelda remake, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think they will.
No,
I don't like not as that. Like, I mean, they kind of do so with Greso. Those guys, they're not a Nintendo studio as far as I'm aware of
yet,
right? They work a lot with Nintendo. Nintendo publishes a lot of their games, right? But I mean, like, they're still not part of Nintendo, but they handle a lot of remakes, and I don't know when Nintendo will actually allow Greso to make a Zelda game, right? Like, make a new Zelda game. Of course, we know that Nintendo will have a magnifying glass over what they're doing, but which is good, which is perfectly fine, right? That's why the Mario movie turned out so good. But I'm kind of waiting for them to do so, pull out a new Zelda game. But what makes me believe that they are not gonna do so is that I don't think Nintendo is willing to lend the Zelda franchise as it is, right? Like the license.
I think they would first do a movie. Like, honestly, it just blows my mind, Mau. It blows my mind. It's like they don't want to make money. how long it took them to make a Mario theme park, and they didn't even make it. They just outsources to Universal to put a section, and when there should be
Yeah.
a Nintendo Land everywhere,
Yeah.
it's like
No, for
how
sure.
long it took them to make a movie. Why we don't have a Star Fox animated TV series?
I've
Why we
always
don't
wanted
have
that.
a Metroid horror movie, like teenagey horror like theme animated movie? Why we
Yeah.
don't have a Zelda movie? Why we don't have Kirby everywhere? It's like they know their IP sell because like every Kirby
Yeah.
game sells Animal Crossing. Why we don't have a kids cartoon of Animal Crossing?
No.
Like
Yeah, for sure. No,
it's
no. Like I remember I used to have like a Star Fox animated opening planned like very well.
you were writing a
few years ago.
script.
Yes, because I was like, man, Star Fox, like they even designed Star Fox, like all of its environment around this idea of a TV show.
Yeah, no, it blows my mind. It
Right.
blows my mind. We don't have a puppet show like the Thunderbirds with Star Fox.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. It just so where should Zelda go next? Like it should go like full blown hypertextuality. It should go.
For sure.
It should go full blown like multimedia. Like that's the first step they should be doing now that Zelda is bigger than ever because Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom sold more than the whole franchise combined. Which goes back to the point that open air Zelda is here to stay because people have spoken. Like the old fans, the old guard can say like, oh no, I want traditional temples. Oh no, I want this. But the reality is that these games have never been more successful.
No, that's the thing. We like mainline Zelda is open air now.
Yeah.
Right? Like Nintendo is focusing on that. Now, the thing is that I don't know if they're willing to outsource like a proper Legend of Zelda games because
that's what you want.
Oh yeah, but they I don't know, to me Hyrule Warriors and Cadence of Hyrule are kind of proof of that.
Yeah.
Yes. Like they are willing to lend pretty much anything about Zelda. I mean, not to everyone, of course, right? Like Brace Yourself Games, like they're indie, but they're like this top-notch studio. Like they're really good. They know what to do, right? Like
they're a fantastic
team, right? And they're willing to give them everything, but bought the name of Zelda, right? Like so, and with that it comes like these formulas that a lot of fans are expecting, right? Like these classic 3D Zelda games, right? Like it comes with the name. If you don't have the name, then it's like, okay, do sort of your Zelda game, but don't do a Zelda game.
So that's the first thing.
That's
the first thing. I think the first thing is that Nintendo should be branching into spin-offs that are called Zelda with other teams and other genres,
For sure.
Reaching a bigger demographic now that the IP is bigger than ever. And for the main line, open air Zelda is here to stay. No questions about it.
No.
My main thing is that they reused, in quotes, because saying that Tears of the Kingdom reused the map of Breath of the Wild is like saying Majora's Mask reused the assets of Ocarina of Time, therefore they're the same game. No, it's not true. It's not real. No, they reuse some of the map, but it's 3 times the size and it's significantly more. So they use the framework.
For sure. That's also something I wanted to tackle. Like a lot of people are calling it a glorified DLC, but no way. Like, just think about this. They reuse like so many things from Breath of the Wild, and that still took them 6 years to make.
Yeah, no, because the mechanics are ridiculous.
Right? And I do think, yes, they reused like the base Hyrule map, but the way they did it was brilliant, right? You can still play it like kind of like Breath of the Wild, but you're motivated into exploring it in a very different way using your your Sona devices, and it was brilliant what they did.
Absolutely.
It was brilliant.
No question about it. Is no question about it. I think it's actually an insult and disservice to call it that, because the reality is that there is no, like, the mechanics are completely different. You know,
Yeah.
they might have reused the base map, you can call it.
Yeah.
But they repopulated everything, and then they created like what they created in the sky, and then the underground, the depths is insane. It's just absolutely insane. And not just that, they went in and broke all the rules of level design with the depths by saying, like, we're just gonna make everything dark, which is everything like a dark. No. You're taught this is a no. When we're working in, let me put this in perspective really quick, Mau.
Yeah.
To put like the brilliance of Tears of the Kingdom in a sense, and how brave they were and how successful they were because of this. We were working Metro Exodus, and we literally, which is a dark game. Metro is a dark game. And even then, we would always put light sources. We would not go full dark. And even when there was darkness, which an area was fully dark, they would put the specific lights that were very cheap to create texture on it, and so that player is still in complete darkness, which is a very dark game, would still put fake light sources all the time, so that there's no complete darkness. And Nintendo went in and said, no, we're turning the lights off completely on a third of our map.
Yeah, no, it was brilliant. And then
brave.
And then just letting you figure out that it's the complete opposite of what Hyrule is, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you have a mine on a Hyrule, you have a valley there, right? And just figure it out. And when you figure it out, it's like, my God, I already have this map, right? So you start. It's amazing what they did, because you start exploring the depths on Hyrule at the same time, and you start uncovering these shrines and the map of the depths at the same time,
and they're connected.
Man, that duality was like, who thought about this?
So for people that know, I always talk about the games, how I like games, you know, and there's games that I hate, there's games that I like, there's games that I really like, there's games that I adore, I cannot stop, you know, and then there are the circle goes all the way to like I hate a game. And when I really hate a game, it's because I'm jealous. It's because it's like I think it's so brilliant what they did that I hate it. Yeah. You know, it's like there is a scene in Brooklyn Nine-Nine that they say like, oh my God, this pie is so good that I hate it. There it is. Yes. It's like that's how I feel with the open air Zelda games, you know, and they're really there's a reason why they're the best sold. Another little thing before we probably move on about praising the open air games is that I saw a parent and his child. He was 40 and his child was 5. They both finished Breath of the Wild.
That's beautiful.
Both their own way, their own time.
Oh, you know, look, not together. Like,
not together. No. Separate.
Wow.
Separate. Okay. And it's like my kid finished Breath of the Wild because it just uses like very good logic and sense to create its world. And I think Breath of the Wild I think is more approachable than Tears of the Kingdom, but both are amazing. So should Nintendo continue the open air? Yes. Should they create a new Hyrule and a new kind of like new Zelda, new Link, new art style? Because I think that is specifically like what Zelda needs is a new art style, but the philosophy of open air, that's what Zelda should go.
Yeah, like I think it's time for a new Hyrule, for sure, right? The way they reused it for Tears of the Kingdom was amazing, but I mean, if they were to reuse it, they would have to pull out something stupidly clever again, right? But I don't think they will. No, even
the same art style. It's the same art style.
Exactly. Like even then, like even if they pulled out a Dark World or a Twilight Realm or whatever that changed Hyrule, I do think I don't think it's gonna be enough for the next one.
No.
To be honest, like they pulled it out on the first this time, and that's great. That's the importance of iteration, right?
Yeah.
Like iteration is stupid important, especially for IPs like Zelda or Final Fantasy. Like iteration is extremely important because their scopes will only get bigger for those games, right?
Yeah. My opinion is the open air philosophy should stay.
Mm-hmm.
The philosophy of like shrines, maybe like the philosophy of shrines, smaller,
sure.
tighter temples, that kind of stuff should stay. Everything else needs to go. Everything else, the art style, the link, the mechanics, the like, how does the open air work without weapon degradation and more like special weapons, for example? How does that work? How does a hook shot work in open air, for example? That's something we don't have. So I would keep the philosophy of open air and the temples being shorter and having shrines and stuff like that, but I would backpedal a little bit and I would focus on the items, on cool items, having gliding boots, having hook shots, having the different tunics that actually do something like specific in the world, well, that is there, but there's not like the I can breathe underwater,
and that's exactly what I was gonna talk about. Like, to me, I'd say like underwater exploration should now like become one of the focuses, right? Like Tears of the Kingdom, of course they didn't pull it out. Like I think there's something here about players' expectation, right? Like a lot of players wanted underwater exploration, but having a character controller that manages your expectation as player, having such a good character controller on the ground would be extremely hard to pull off, right?
Sure. But at the same time, they pull it off. They pull underwater exploration in Ocarina of Time by having like the iron boots, right? So you can tie it back to it.
Of course. That what I'm saying is it's time.
Yeah.
They didn't do it for Tears of the Kingdom because it was way out of scope, right? Especially reusing Hyrule, right?
Yeah.
Like Hyrule is not designed for that kind of stuff to explore underwater.
I would love that.
But a new Hyrule could actually bring underwater exploration and a character controller that matches this expectation that you have with a character controller similar to Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild.
Agreed.
Right?
Absolutely.
It would be extremely cool just because Iron Boots alone won't cut it, right?
No.
I mean, they didn't cut it for Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
Right? Then if you have something like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom underwater, like that character controller is going to be hard to pull off.
Yeah.
But it could be so good.
Yeah, I think you're onto something. I think underwater. So I think the first point is underwater exploration. My point would be it needs to be darker.
Darker than
it needs to not be cel shaded. It can be bright, beautiful Hyrule like always, but I think it needs a little more of a gloom atmosphere.
Right.
I think it would be like a very interesting it would be very interesting to have like the open air, but it's not this super high saturated world green, like a little bit darker. I would like that would be like my first point that I would like. I think because it would move the needle towards like a different direction by following the same philosophy, right?
Yeah.
I think that's my first point, and my second point would be more focused on unique items and upgrading.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Skyward Sword, but I think that idea that you upgrade your items, I love that idea as well. And I think that having I like wing boots and iron boots, or having a hook shot, these kind of classical items that we've seen, having boom shoes. Like that would be really cool to like upgrade the bomb to a bomb chew.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Right? Yeah. So these type of items that existed before, bring them back into the open world, open air philosophy, instead of relying I love the idea of emergent gameplay as well, for sure. And I think you can still do that. But I think that there is a little bit of flavor of Zelda that had before that is not there that you can bring back. And I think that those are my
Right,
2 points. My 2 points on what a next mainland Zelda could be and should be.
right. Yeah. I definitely see it. I definitely see it. At some point, I think they also should limit themselves, right? In how many items they can have, right? Because the more items you have, you kind of start limiting your world again, right? A lot of what happened in Zelda is that sometimes you had your dungeon item and you rarely use it again, right?
But that's where the shrines come in.
Yeah, for sure. No, for sure, right? But instead of like, they could work somehow as Rauru's hand, for example, in Tears of the Kingdom, where there's Sheikah Slate, right? Instead of the Sheikah Slate, you have this Zelda flavor, right? You can have them. You can have this hook shot. You can have this. Well, boomerangs are kind of there, but yeah.
And shrines have several ways of. The way they design shrines, they already have several ways of like solving them.
Yeah.
So have less shrines, backpedal as well there. So if you have 100 shrines, make it 50, but double the scope of each. So that way you can accommodate more items. So less shrines, 4 temples, 4 big temples.
Yeah.
Less shrines, go back a little bit and make each shrine a little bit more in scope. And I think you can have your cake and eat it. I think you can have you can have all fans going, whoa, this is like a great shrines are like way more meaningful, way longer, and I need to use my items. And at the same time, you keep the open air philosophy of Zelda. I think there is something there.
Yeah.
I think there is a middle ground here that they can approach, right? So remove that. I guess that's my third point. My third point that Zelda should go moving forward is reduce the amount of shrines, double the scope so they accommodate to the new items that you're adding.
Yeah, and with that, maybe like I would like, instead of letting you choose which of the 4 dungeons to go, like you could have a linear story, right? That doesn't mean you're destroying your open air philosophy, right? Because
I guess if you design, I think Elden Ring did something similar in which you have the open world, but they line up the world kind of like the world is kind of like a little bit of a spiral like that.
Yeah.
So you had like a inherent progression, but at the same time, it was still completely open. I think they can do that. To be honest, I like the choice of temples myself. So this would accommodate like, hey, each temple has more than one way of being beaten depending on which items you have on top of you.
Yeah, but what I'm thinking about this is like, for how long can you keep using this memory-driven storytelling device in the Zelda franchise, right? That's why I'm saying, right? Because it works amazing. Like, I loved it, right? But for how long will that work, right? For how long will people be like, I want to be where the story is, right? I want to play where the story is. Because it's very interesting how they handled it in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, where the story pretty much happened before.
Yeah.
And you're uncovering it. It's amazing. I loved it, right? But for how long, right? Like, for how long is it going to be memory-driven?
Yeah. No, I don't think they should do it memory-driven, the next one.
No, I don't think so either.
I think you can keep that philosophy by having 2 temples and 25 shrines kind of released, and then after a certain milestone, you have 2 other temples and 25 shrines. Because I think that's something that Zelda had that was really amazing. They had like, hey, you finished 3 temples. There's a big story moment. There's a big milestone.
Exactly.
You know? And I think that is so that would make the fourth point, I'm guessing. Or
Yeah,
fifth, because you want like underwater exploration, and
I
then we
I
have,
would love that. I would love that. I think
yeah,
it
me
would
too,
be
me too, absolutely.
impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then like having these milestones back, so a relatively more linear story. So I think we're
yeah,
backpedaling on what Zelda is right now, because I can feel people getting tired of it already, because they repeat it so much. Like the formula was so much to the T, like, hey, memory
yeah,
driven story and stuff like that.
yeah,
So yeah, I can see that.
yeah.
Myself, I think you can tell the story with the open air philosophy and still not be memory driven.
I think so too. I think so too. I think they could pull it off, right? Um, I mean, you can still find your lore pieces, right? Like
Mm.
they already have that. They
And you can
already,
have your milestones as well. Hey, you finished 2 temples. There is this extra temple that
exactly
pops out after that, right?
something that I absolutely adored in Ocarina of Time is that usually after you become an adult, she tells you, hey, pretty much go to the forest temple.
Yeah.
I never went to the forest temple first. I
Yeah.
usually go to the fire temple first, right? And you have this sort of choice hidden there.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be there. It doesn't need to be hidden. But allow them to choose. Of course, you have two temples, right? And then after the two temples, something big happens, right? Like, I don't know, part of Hyrule is destroyed.
I'll tell you what, I think all this is encompassed by the fact that you can reach the final boss at any time. I think
Yes,
that's what we're
definitely.
trying to avoid. So to put this point is like, not make the final boss accessible at all times. Have milestones in the game that you have to achieve, so you can tell a story in which you are actually a participant. You're not seeing the memories in the back and just seeing the final boss and reaching the final boss. So I think that's the core of the issue.
I don't know. Like, what I would say to that is like, if you leave it, because something that they were doing as of now is that, yes, the more you play, the easier Ganon or Ganondorf.
But you can still have that.
You can still have that, but I would actually pull it the other way around, right? Because the more people play, the more they are engaged with your game and with your story, right? So instead of making it easier, like, give them more, make it harder, make Ganondorf have more faces.
Yeah,
right?
I actually like that as well.
Make Ganondorf have more faces, right? Like, okay, I'm not gonna pull off a Tears of the Kingdom spoiler, right? But I don't know. For example, in Ocarina of Time, instead of like defeating, if you had in this new Zelda game, you have Ganondorf, and you didn't beat any temple, you beat Ganondorf, and that's the end of your story, right? You can kind of leave this hint as of, well, something else happened, but you won't get it. But the more the more you play, you have this Ganon fight, right? Or this Ganon fusing with Yuga as in a link between worlds, right? But you start like giving players more because players want more.
I think Chrono Trigger does it really well, that you have different endings depending, right? So I think they should lean a little bit into that. Lean into like, hey, if you arrive without doing nothing, like without doing certain things, like you cannot defeat Ganon though. Like, how cool would that be? I think it would be really cool. That is like, hey, you cannot win. Like, you arrive and you don't have the Master Sword, you cannot do damage. You know,
you don't have any sages, right? Okay, like Zelda has always been about sages, about
exactly.
Link not being alone. Link is never alone. Link needs sages. Link needs friends to beat it. They're just never called friends. I agree.
No, you have that because you have the champions and stuff like that.
Of course. Yes, but they're not called friends. They're called champions. They're called sages, right? But they're friends. At the end of this thing, is they're friends. Link needs people to help to beat Ganon.
I think we have different opinion on this. I think you want the ending to be accessible from the beginning, and I don't. And I actually don't. I actually
Yes,
would like the milestones and the keys to be there.
yes, I would like it to be accessible from the beginning, just not in its entirety, right? You don't fight the full Ganon fight.
I think there's a middle ground here, but I don't agree with you on that one.
There is a
But
middle ground, yeah, but
I don't agree with you in that one. It's
hmm,
very interesting. In the end, open air Zelda is here to
it's
stay.
here to stay because
Traditional, like Ocarina of Time, was
I
already kind
still,
of getting old.
yeah,
Uh,
I still believe opener Zelda is like the essence of the very first Zelda, right?
yeah,
Like not just in, oh yeah, it's open like the first Zelda and you go explore everywhere. It took it miles farther than
yeah,
the first Zelda, right? Like you explore in everything. You explore in cooking, you explore with your swords, you explore with
yeah,
fusing, you explore like it is the very essence of Zelda taken to every single system and mechanic.
yeah, yeah.
And that's
Agreed.
the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. So it's here to stay.
And it should.
It should for sure. It is the very essence of Zelda. It is the very essence of where it comes, right?
It just
What I
needs to
think,
change art style now.
yes, it needs
It,
evolving. It
it
needs
needs
to,
to change art styles. It needs. I like.
yeah,
I think that is essential for this. And well, uh,
yeah. As I mean,
what do
as
you think
for
of classic Zelda? Should classic Zelda come back
as 2D or 3D,
as 3D?
I think there still is a huge amount of people that would love to see it back. I would love to see it back because the more Zelda I have, the
The
more
better.
I'm
Yes, yes.
fulfilled,
I agree.
right? I think it can and it will, right? Like, I mean, they're still re-releasing. They re-released the Skyward Sword. Everyone is waiting for Twilight Princess and Wind Waker.
Please.
Like whenever they're ready to make a comeback, right?
It's like they don't want to make money, dude.
They don't want to make money. They don't want to make
They
money
don't want
for
to make
sure.
money. It blows my mind. It's like they don't want to make
Yeah,
money. Like, what are you doing, bro?
but I do think Greso is more than
Oh yeah,
capable of handling it, right? They already remade or remastered, however you want to call it. I call it a remake, but they already did with Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, right? They already know,
they have the tech.
they
For
have
sure.
the tech.
They have
They
the
have the
tech.
tech, and by remaking and making some designed decisions, and you start seeing how you could make a new Zelda game, right?
They're
Especially with the
grooming them.
especially with this magnifying glass that will have Nintendo over them. Like, I think they could pull off a great 3D Zelda game. I think they could.
You know what I find really funny? I don't see it replicated on the indie scene. I've seen it replicated on the indie scene, the 2D Zelda, but I haven't seen a replication of a Ocarina of Time. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might not have seen it. It probably exists, but I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the indie scene saying like, "Hey, here is the traditional style Zelda with dungeons and everything."
Yeah, I mean, if it has, I don't know about it. Maybe it hasn't been as popular, right?
Which tells you something. It's not like we're not checking Steam all the time, for indies and stuff like that. Like,
I think it is still a matter of scope. It is still a huge game.
I don't know, but I'm sorry, but how many people replicate Dark Souls with a team of 10 people and they say like, oh yeah, we're gonna do Dark Souls, and somehow I don't see a replicate of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Please tell us in the comments if we're like missing something out, but I don't feel there is something that replicates. There is what's his name? It started as a mobile game, Oceanhorn.
Oh yeah, Oceanhorn 2, because the first one is a clone of 2D Zelda.
And Oceanhorn 2 does it, but that's the only one that comes to mind. I would believe the indie scene would be replicating this a lot more.
Yeah, I don't know why. To be honest, I still
That's
think it's
really
a matter of.
strange.
I still think it's a matter of scoping, right? Like, I mean, just Link's character controller is big, right?
Sure, but I don't
But
know, for no indie team to do it.
yeah, that's weird. That's weird. I don't know. I mean, it's still the matter of dungeons and how it progresses and everything. Like,
I
I still
just
think it could be something about that
I
because
don't
everyone
think the
loves Zelda.
scope is that big, man. Especially for the N64 style.
Well,
They
if you
made
go and
they made
yeah,
Majora's in 1 year, bro. And I know it's a team that made Ocarina of Time. They knew the technology and everything. But
yeah,
we
yeah.
have so much more technology now that could do this. We have the struggle.
I mean,
We triple the, like, with 100, like 1,000 times the memory. You know,
yeah,
like the optimization would be like significantly less.
no, for sure.
I just think about it. I don't understand. This is one of the big interrogations, like the big
Yeah,
questions I have about the gaming landscape nowadays. I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
understand, where are the indies making classical 3D Zelda? Where
Give me
are they?
give me a minute. I'll be right back with a indie Zelda game.
Oh, sure. See, bye. See you guys next week with our, like with Mauricio's
Indie-
Zelda game. Peace.
No, no, you do have a point, yeah. You do have a
Yeah,
point. I I I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
don't know. I don't
I
know
really
because
don't know.
2D Zelda game, like, there are a lot of 2D Zelda game clones out there. Some are really good, right?
Some amazing,
Yeah, yeah,
amazing
yeah.
games. Amazing games.
Amazing games. It's weird. Like,
I don't know
I don't
where
know.
they are. I do like. I see a bunch of platformers. I see Sonic, like 3D Sonic, being like not just replicated, like, but actually like way improved.
Yeah, Spark the Electric Jester is
It's
really
it's
good.
so good. It's so good. It's
It's
so
so
good.
good. Yeah.
So I don't know.
I
I
don't
think with
know. I
this,
don't know. I don't
yeah,
know. I mean, yeah,
hey, so that's our view. So
yeah.
they're
I
gonna
mean,
they should remake more to the Zeldas.
yeah, for sure.
Uh,
I still think they will remake at some point the Oracle games, right?
yeah, that's a
I
good
do
one.
think, but I would love to see also a new 2D Zelda game,
A new
right?
2D Zelda game would be great.
Link's Awakening just felt amazing, right? And
Yeah,
Link
a
Between
smaller
Worlds,
scope as well.
yeah. And I mean, Gresos should definitely tackle for me a classic 3D Zelda game, and I think they could easily outsource a new 2D Zelda game,
Yeah.
a new 2D Zelda game.
Um. So I think we should conclude around here. I think we have clear ideas.
Yeah,
I think we want an open air Zelda that has underwater exploration, a different, more darker art style, and a focus on items
yeah,
instead of physics mechanics.
yeah,
Like you can have physics mechanics, but like a more focus on items and more like meaningful items.
yeah.
I think we
I think
want.
also the systems. This is a lot of systems like cooking and that should come back.
Yeah.
Come
Like
back.
a lot should stay, but a focus on items, a focus on hook shots, and more like special swords, a special, like, weapon durability shouldn't be there, in my opinion. It should be more focused on like more meaningful and lasting items, darker
But
and underwater exploration.
well, this could be a topic for another day. But if they were to completely get rid of weapon durability, I would think they would need to completely redesign the combat because it's completely based around
Yes,
that. Around
yes,
that.
exactly. They should completely redesign the combat.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I'm not against the weapon durability. I like it.
I like it too. I
I
know
like it
what
too.
its purpose, but 3 games in a row with the same weapon durability, I think it's tiresome. So I want meaningful items. I want the open air, the open air exploration and mechanics, sure, but I want more meaningful items and a darker art style with underwater exploration. That's what I think. Like, that should be the
Yeah.
direction of Zelda now. My opinion. They should be remaking 2D Zeldas and making new 2D Zeldas. Absolutely.
They should give Integrate the shot to make Zelda 2 and rebrand it as The Legend of Zelda: The Adventure of Link.
And
They should.
they should do more spin-offs with outsourced teams. Those are the three things.
Not only spin-offs, I'd say one of them should actually be a new 2D Zelda game, a new mainline.
Sure, they can overlap, but yes,
but
they
spin-offs
should
for
outsource
sure.
the IP.
I should definitely go nuts with the spin-offs. Like Hyrule Warriors and Kingdoms of Hyrule should only be the beginning.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Right.
Agreed.
There should be a lot more spin-offs because like it's cheaper and people enjoy them and they make money out of them.
Yeah. So any
Yeah.
final words for this episode?
Oh man, I don't completely agree with you on Ocarina of Zelda, but that's
It's okay. We can revisit the subject. But
any day. Yeah. But no,
Well-
I say like whoever doesn't truly enjoy Ocarina of Zelda, well, it's here to stay. That's pretty much what I'm gonna say. And remakes are completely on the table.
and you want weapon durability to be there.
I don't dislike it, especially after I played Immortals Phoenix Rising, which is a great game.
Great game.
After like 5 hours, I already had like the ability I used to pretty much beat every enemy, and I was like, okay, combat to me is like.
But that
okay.
comes with the enemy design. Enemy design
that's-
should be
that's for sure.
design should like also accommodate for this kind of stuff, right? Like,
That's for
and you're
sure.
right. You would need to redesign the combat.
Yeah, Twilight Princess had skills and they were pretty cool.
Oh,
I
that was
wish
awesome.
I wish enemies back then used more of the skills, right?
Yeah.
But something like that could work, right?
All right, Mau. I think we need to cut it short.
All right.
I have
All right.
2 minutes.
All right.
We can
Guys,
do
I
this a
hope-
part 1 if you want. Like, 2
All right.
minutes.
We'll see about it. But okay, guys. Have a good one. I hope you enjoyed this episode on Zelda. I'm willing to do Zelda every day.
I know you do.
All right. See you guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe,
Remember
hit
to
the like
subscribe.
button, comment, love us.
Yeah, like the video if you liked it. See you guys.